Well, good morning. Oh, come on, you're at church. Best place to be all week long. Good morning. Much better. All right, this is like my third time. I had to go to the other case. You should have tons of energy. You guys slept till like noon, and it is awesome to be able to be with you, and what a joy it is to be able to be here. Thank you so much for Thrive being an ongoing kingdom partner with helping us rescue churches. I want to minister to you, and then we'll turn the corner a little bit at the end, but it is awesome to be able to be with you, and you guys have it's just such an incredible church, and don't you agree? And an incredible pastor, and I always love to give honor where honor is due, and Hector and Vivian, I always call them the patriarch and matriarch of this great church. Without Hector, started right here. We give little Hector all the credit, but it's this couple right here. Amazing parents, amazing people, and love these people very much. Come on. Love these guys. They're amazing. It's absolutely awesome. And man, what a worship team you have. You guys got a great worship team. And I don't know if Cassie's in the house. Where's she at? Is she here? Oh, there she is. Oh, yeah. There. Oh, yeah. There she. Not look. Is she standing? No. Oh, that's it. Did you know she weighs all but like 30 pounds, but she sings like Aretha Franklin? Did you guys catch that? She's just going for it. I'm like, wow, Diana Ross is in the house. She's something else. That was amazing. It is awesome to be able to be with you guys. What a joy it is, and what a wonderful opportunity. I'm a founding pastor myself, but man, I have a heart for the local church, and I think we got to keep it open. So if you got a Bible, go to John chapter 5. We're going to jump there in just a moment. We won't go there yet, but in John chapter 5. So a while back, I was in Costa Rica, not in the nice area. A lot of people think Costa Rica is vacation, but most of it isn't like vacation. Most of it has a very much of a third world setting. And I was in Costa Rica, and I was doing some speaking, and I was there for a whole week, and I had a friend of mine with me. And we went to the front desk of the hotel, and I use that term very loosely, hotel, because it wasn't exactly a hotel, ish. And we went up there, and we were like, hey, man, tomorrow we got the day off. What would you do? And the lady goes, you should go zip lining. How many have ever been zip lining before? You know what I mean? Okay, what it is, it's a cable from one tree to another tree, and you hook on like with a harness, and you zip line down. In Costa Rica, where you zip line, you can be as high as 60 stories with the ravine. One cable, and then this. How many have ever zip line? Let me see one more time. How many have ever done it in a third world country? You see the difference here in America, it's a cable. Over there, it was dental floss. And so it was kind of weak. But, so we're like, okay, we're going to go. So we decided, all right, we're going to go. And so the next morning we wake up, 6 in the morning, we take a bus ride. 2-hour bus ride. It's at the Sarapiqui River where they filmed Jurassic Park. 2-hour bus rides. Beautiful. Okay. 1-hour boat ride. 2-hour horseback ride. And then you arrive. You are so deep in the jungle. And I thought, they're going to kill us. That's why we're here. They're just literally going to kill us. And so we're deep inside of the jungle. And I'll never forget, we go up to this little area right there, and they give you the harness, make sure it fits you. And all it is one cable, and you click onto it. So everybody gets the harness, like 7 of us, me, my friend, and 5 other people I don't know. And they give us the harness. They said, that's your guide. Go with him. And I asked the guy that was giving us the harnesses, I said, excuse me. I go, don't we have to sign anything? And he goes, oh, you Americans. And I said, but if we fall, or die or something, aren't you afraid of getting sued? He goes, no, we are not afraid. He goes, if you die, we leave. That's what he tells me. You die, we leave. I'm like, this is great. And so we start zip lining. You go from one tree to the next, one at a time. When you get to that tree, you got to stop and you kind of hit the tree. And then you stand on a platform they build. They hook it to a little cable on the tree, and you just lean. You're 60 stories in the air leaning with one cable. And I'm like, this is a nightmare. I noticed halfway down, at 16 runs, halfway down, I kept thinking, man, our guide, the guy that's guiding us, he's so young. And I kept thinking, man, how old is this dude, And so I go down, and we're waiting for a couple more people, and we're just leaning on the tree, and I look over at him. I go, excuse me. I go, and he got broken English. I go, how old are you? This is what he says to me. He goes, 15. And I said, what did you say? He goes, 17? Like that made it better. Oh, well, you're 17. Now I feel secure. And so we zip line, we have an amazing day, and then we got to go back. So horseback ride, boat ride back down. Now we get on the bus. The bus gets stuck in the mud because it rains 300 inches a year there. It gets stuck in the mud. They get us all out and we're pushing the bus, because that was in the brochure. And it's just spinning like this, and mud's going everywhere, and they had to bring someone and do all that stuff. And man, we were just stuck, and it just kept digging a hole farther and farther and farther. And I remember standing there watching all this happen, and I thought, man, that is so much like us in life. How we can get stuck so much in the mud. Stuck for us might be, man, I feel stuck in my life because I'm in debt. I'm stuck in my life because my relationship ain't going right. I'm stuck in my life because I'm still bitter at that person that hurt me, still angry. I'm stuck in my life because I thought I would be a lot farther along than I am so far today. And we get stuck in our lives. It kind of looks like this. Put it on the screen for me. It kind of looks like this. This is life before the wall. Notice how happy he is. This is you before you hit a wall, okay? Money's good, relationships are good, career's going great, the Niners are winning, everything's great. And then this happens. The Niners go to the Super Bowl, and they lose. Or maybe something goes wrong in the career or the relationship. You get in debt. Someone hurts you. Someone betrays you. You go through a divorce. Something happens. And now you've got life in the wall. You had life before the wall when everything was great. But now you have life in the wall when everything isn't so great. And you feel stuck. Why am I not further ahead? I keep saying I'm going to go to school. I don't go back. I keep saying I'm going to change this. I don't go back. I keep staying bitter. I keep staying in debt. And I stay inside of the wall. Once you're stuck inside the wall, and we've all been there before, here's the two choices you have. Put it on the screen for me. You either A, stay in the wall, or B, get to the other side of the wall. Help me out. You either stay in the, or what? Get to the other side of the, okay, one or the other. But please understand something. You either stay in the wall or get to the other side of the wall, but there is no such thing as life before the wall. Let that sink in for a minute. It's never going to go back. You can't go back. That's over with. That's done. The person hurt you, can't change that. You got in debt, can't, like whatever happened, you went through a divorce, whatever happened before the wall is done. So either A, you stay in the wall, or B, you get to the other side of the wall. There's a great story I want to take you to in John chapter 5. We'll read it in a moment, but let me just give you kind of an overview of John chapter 5 in the first few verses. Jesus walks into this town in Jerusalem, right? It is a holiday. They're having a big festival. He walks over to an area that they call the pool Bethesda. The pool of Bethesda. And it is a pool, actually translated means the pool of mercy. He walks up to this pool, and there's water there. And there's 5 porches, like porches that kind of keep the sun from coming. And sick people would come out in the morning, lay under the porch, and not so they wouldn't get all heated up from the sun. And then the angel would come once a day, stir up the water. If you made it down there into the pool while it's bubbling, you're healed. And so they would go there believing that they were going to get healed. One day when Jesus was walking through, saw the pool and all the people under the porch, he stopped to have a conversation with one of the sick people. And in this version or this sort of verses, we find an amazing story of Jesus' conversation with this guy at the pool of Bethesda. We find an amazing story. Here it is. Ready? Let's read it. Verse 1 through 5. Afterward, Jesus returned to Jerusalem for one of the Jewish holidays. Inside the city near the sheep gate was the pool of Bethesda with 5 covered porches. Crowds of sick people, blind, lame, or paralyzed, lay on the porches. One of the men lying there had been sick for how long? Had been sick for what? Okay, I want you to imagine what this is like. Go back with me 2,000 years ago. Jesus walks up on the scene, comes under one of the porches. One of the guys has been sick for 38 years. Okay, now it doesn't say he was there for 38 years, but let's say he kept coming out to the porch for 2 or 3 years. That means for hundreds of days, this man would come out, lay under the porch, and for whatever reason, he never made it to the water to get better, to get healed. So maybe he laid under the porch and fell asleep when the water was being stirred. Maybe he laid under the porch because, no one would help him get there. Whatever the reason is. But here's the point. The man was stuck. He was sick. He was stuck. And he was inches away from his healing. but he got stuck in the wall. For whatever reason, he was stuck in the wall, and Jesus wanted to have a conversation with him. And I think that the same thing could happen with us. This man got stuck in the wall. And here's the thing, whatever he was doing wasn't working. Whatever system he had wasn't working. Is it possible that the way you're handling money isn't working? Oh man, I'm gonna go back to school. It's not working. I'll just forgive the person. Not working. I can get over this addiction. It's not working. Whatever the system was that got him into the wall, he couldn't get to the other side of the wall. And I think you and I have the same problem as well at times. And here's the bottom line. You can't change your future put it on the screen for me, until you disrupt your present. Come on now. You can't change your future until you disrupt your present. You have to change. If you're in the wall like this guy, he's in the wall. Weeks go by, months go by, and he stays in the wall. And if you are staying in the wall and you thinking, man, I want to break through. I don't want this kind of financial life. I don't want this kind of I don't want to live with bitterness. I don't want to live with anger. I thought I would be farther along. Please understand something. You're going to stay stuck in the wall, and you're never going to get to the other side of the wall until you disrupt the present. You're going to have to disrupt it. Something's going to have to change. Something's going to have to fix it. There's no way it's going to work. I've written a bunch of books. I just had one come out last month, another one, my 7th one, but I've written some books. A few books back, I wrote a book called Quit Church. It was by far the most popular book I ever wrote. It went number 1 on Amazon, number 1 on Reddit. It was number 1 all over the place, only for like 8 seconds, but it was number 1. It was like literally on the screen. I took a picture and then it went away. But it was number 1 for us. So it was amazing. And the title was Quit Church, because your life would be better if you did. How many know when you have a title like that, people are just going to love on you? Now, clearly I wasn't telling people to quit church. What I was saying is, don't just go to church, go all in. Don't just kind of listen to the messages, go all in, because otherwise you're going to stay stuck in the wall. It's kind of was the whole concept. And so the book comes out and it's just going crazy. It's on the news. It's all this stuff. Fox News did an article on it. When it came out, in 1 hour, received 100,000 emails. People just loving on me. And we were on Fox News and Friends and all sorts of stuff. But in the middle of all that stuff, it was all crazy. But in the middle of it, I remember getting done filming or doing something. I went to Dallas, Texas to go speak. I flew into Dallas late at night. I got picked up by a hotel shuttle. I'm in the back of the shuttle, and I'm just kind of returning emails on my phone. 2 ladies are in front of me. I don't know who they are. Never met them before in my life. But these 2 ladies are in front of me. And I'm sitting right behind them. This is when the book is like going real well, and it's whatever. I could tell they were Christian ladies because, just whatever. But then one of them out of nowhere, I'm just back there. One of them out of nowhere says, hey, have you read this book? The other one says, what book? And she goes, Quit Church. Now I'm sitting behind them. And I'm looking and I'm like, okay. And I look over, she lifts up her phone and I go, oh, that's my book. And the other lady goes, what is this book? And she goes, oh, I don't know. It's written, listen, no joke. She goes, it's written, I don't know, from some guy in California. Yeah. I'm sitting right behind them. Apparently, he's a pastor. And the lady says, and I quote, he's not a pastor, he's an idiot. And I'm sitting right behind them. You can't write this stuff. And I'm sitting right behind them. Then they all get worked up. That's the problem with America. Because anybody said that's the problem with America, clearly knows all the answers. And so they're getting so heated up, they literally turn around and invite me in the conversation. They were heated up. They're like, can you believe it? And I acted like I didn't know. What's going on? I'm just back here praying and worshiping. What's going on? And she goes, there's a book out called Quit Church. I go, really? And she goes, have you heard of it? And I go, I think I have. And then the other lady goes, have you read it? And I said, I'll give you one better than that. I wrote it. Oh, the look on their faces, The other lady goes, that's not true. And she started Googling my name. She looked for a picture. She put it up next to my head and she goes, and she realized. And then here comes, Pastor Chris, had we known you were here, we wouldn't have talked about you. I'm like, spoken like a true believer. We'd have done it behind your back, We get off the bus or the shuttle, whatever. We go in the lobby. We're checking in. A few people in front of us. We're talking. They're telling me. One of them was telling me about all her struggles. I told her what the book is really about. And she says, I'm stuck in the wall. And I said, you are? And she goes, yeah. She goes, I went through a bitter divorce. My husband was abusive, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I gave them my email. If I can ever help you, let me know. 1.5, 2 years go by, I get an email from one of them. That girl that was beaten by her husband and got out of a brutal marriage, she emails me and she goes, hey, I found out that my offices for my ministry, I'm like, ministry? She had a ministry, is about an hour away from where you live. Or from where, your church or whatever. And I said, oh, and she said, could you come down and speak to my leadership? And I'm like, what leadership? I go down there. She's got 25 leaders in the room because she's running a house and home, kind of a rehabilitation for men that are addicted and for women that have been battered. She's running this nonprofit. She's raising the money. She's doing all this stuff. And I said, how did you do all this? I loved her response. She goes, I got to the other side of the wall. And I said, that's what happens when you get to the other side of the wall. That's what happens. And that's what we need to do. But you can't change. She couldn't change her future until she disrupted the present. You know what she had to do? She went to Bible college to get a degree, and she went through 2 years of counseling. That disrupted her present, and it changed everything about her. Now, let's go back to the story. Let's pick it up where we left off. Jesus walks up, sees the man. He's been sick for 38 years. Okay, when Jesus, verse 6 through 7, when Jesus saw him and knew he had been ill for a long time, he asked him, would you like to get well? Leave the scripture up there. To me, that is about the easiest question in the world, isn't it? Yeah. I mean, think about it. You want to get well or not? It's a yes or no answer. You literally just go, yes or no. Do you get well? Do you want to get well? Yes or no? It's so simple. What's intriguing to me isn't his question. It's actually the answer. Because the answer tells me why this man has been stuck for so long. Why he's inside of the wall for so long. Look at his answer. Jesus says, do you want to get well or not? Yes or no? First 2 words. Help me out. I can't. Oh my goodness. Do you want to get well? I can't. It is the Son of God asking you. I'm just thinking out loud. The miracle worker. I can't, sir, the sick man said, for I have no one to put me in the pool when the water bubbles up. Here comes the next excuse. Someone else always gets in my way. Someone else. Don't we do that? Hey, why am I stuck in the wall? Someone else's fault. It's not my fault. You don't understand the dad I had. You don't understand the mom that I had. You don't understand the divorce I went through. You don't understand the troubles that I faced. Boy, if I was raised in that home, I'd have a different outcome for my life. If I was raised by those parents, I'd have a different outcome for my life. Now, I'm not minimizing your hurt, and I'm not minimizing your pain. I'm not minimizing any of it because I got plenty of scars just like you. But please understand something. We're not 3 years old. We're adults. We're in the wall because we're choosing to stay there. You want to get to the other side of the wall? That's going to be your choice to get to the other side of the wall. But you can't keep saying someone else or something else or another person is getting in my way because that just doesn't work after a while. Here's what I think was happening. He asked Jesus, or Jesus asked him, do you want to get well or not? I can't. Someone else's fault. Do you know what I think spit out of his mouth instead of a yes or no? What spit out of his mouth is a story he's been telling himself for years. See, here's the bottom line. Put it on the screen for me is this. Is at some point, you got to challenge the story you keep telling yourself. Maybe you're telling yourself a story. I tell you the reason why I'm stuck. I tell you why I'm in the wall. I'll tell you what my upbringing was like. I'll tell you what happened to me 5 years ago. I get it. I understand. But at some point, you got to get to the other side of the wall. Some point, you got to start telling yourself a different story. You got to start telling yourself a story of, yeah, somehow I got here, but I serve a God. Somehow I got there, but through him, all things are possible. I got into this wall, but I'm more than a conqueror. At some point, you got to start telling yourself a different story. This guy clearly had his story down pat because he had told himself for years the same old story. I can't because someone or something always gets in my way. And at some point, it's like, that's just not going to work. It's not going to work. And that's what happened to this guy. See, the bottom line is, I think the guy needed to take ownership. That's not really easy for us, is it? That's like admitting you're wrong. You should try that on your spouse. Say, I'm sorry. And after they pass out and they come back through, you said what? it's hard to admit we're wrong. A few years back at the campus where I used to speak all the time, I was standing in line at the grocery store. And there I am standing in line at the grocery store. My wife wanted me to pick up some stuff, and the guy said it was like $25.87, which nowadays that's an egg. Just one. Not a whole dozen, just an egg. So it's $25.87. So I'm like, okay, whatever. So I pull out my card. He says, oh, the little tapping thing's not working. I have to slide it. Okay, whatever. So I slide the card. It says declined. How many, honestly, come on, how many has ever happened to you at least one time in your life? And what do we say? I don't know why. I've got so much money. I'm loaded. Don't we all say that? Come on. And so I did the same thing. I don't know why. I got plenty of money. And the lady's like, okay, loser, but get out of line. So I talked to her. I go, come on, man. I know I got money in there. Blah, 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 blah. And I slide it a second time. Decline. She goes, sir, you got to get out of line. You got other people. 5, 6, 7 deep. The guy way in the back is all, Pastor Chris, is that you? I'm like, no, it's Craig, his twin brother. And then the manager comes over. Like it's a scene. Manager comes over. What's going on over here? I said, I know my card worked. Well, sir, it's been declined twice. Blah, blah, blah. And everybody's getting upset. This whole thing's happening. And I go, just one more time, just try it one more time. And the manager goes, okay, one more time, and that's it. So he resets it. As I look down to grab my card, kind of below the machine there, I look down to grab my card. I realized it wasn't my Chase Bank card I was sliding. It was my Chevron card that I was sliding. So then he goes, okay, it's ready. I get my Chase Bank. I slide it. It says approved. And the man goes, oh, sir, we're so sorry. And I said, I hope so. I have a reputation in this town. You guys make me look bad. Now, I know I probably should have, so I'm going to do some admit fault to you and my fault. I didn't admit it. I let them think it was their fault because I was like, I got to get out of line. Let everybody think it was their fault. I never admit it. I think we all have a struggle admitting, owning. Blaming's a lot easier. You ever notice that? It's really easy to blame a situation so that we feel less responsible for it. We all get stuck in the wall. But at some point, no matter what has happened, you got to own it and say, I'm in the wall. Whatever got me here, I'm here. Me, someone else, combination of both, but I'm here. How do I get to the other side of that wall? At some point, we got to own it and just say, I got to fix this. I want to get to the other side of the wall. And I think a lot of that is just challenging the story that you tell yourself. Start telling yourself a different story. Wouldn't it be amazing if today this changed everything for you? It's just a day. It's a day in March. But what if this was the day where this week you signed up for that college course you keep talking about? This week you got that help on that debt. This week you called a counselor and said, I got to fix this. I do not want to be in the wall anymore. Now, let's go back to the story. The man says, I can't. It's someone else's fault every time. Let's go to the story in John 5, verse 8. Here we go. He says this. Jesus told him, I love it. Help me out. What did Jesus tell him? It's in white. Stand, pick up your mat, and then I love it. Instantly, the man was healed. He rolls up his sleeping mat and began walking. Now, stop right there. I love it because the man's on this side going, I can't. Someone else always gets in my way. Do you want to be healed? But I can't. Jesus doesn't even acknowledge I can't or someone else. Not that he didn't care, but it's almost like he's like, yeah, those excuses aren't going to work. His immediate response is, I can't. Someone else gets in the way. You don't understand. Just stand up and walk. I wonder if Jesus would come and sit next to you but Jesus, just get up. Get out of the wall, start running. I got something better for you. Because there's something there in front of you. I just think that we have to do that. You know what? The man laid under the porch for months, maybe years, every day. And every night he'd go home and go to sleep and come back and lay back under the porch. I think it would be absolutely amazing when you walk out these doors and you get in that car that you say inside of your mind, I am never coming back to this porch. From this point forward, it's going to be different for me. But I'm not coming back to the porch because I'm going to do what Jesus said. Get up and run. It's time. It's not that he's not merciful. He is. But he's saying, just get up and walk. It's time for you to break through the wall. Here's one thing that's powerful. Put it on the screen for me is this. You don't always have the power to control, but you always have the power to surrender. You don't always have the power to control. Actually, I think control is an illusion. But we don't have the power to control. You can't control what someone did to you. You can't control what something happened. You can't control what house you were born in. You can't control what parents that you had. You don't get to control, and neither do I, but we always have the power to surrender. Jesus, I just surrender to you, and I want out of this wall, and I want everything you have for my life. I can't go back to life before the wall. That's over. I'm now in the wall, and I want to get to the other side of the wall. I don't have the power to control, but I got the power to surrender, and I choose to surrender today. Watch what God does. Watch what he does. Now, as we wrap up this portion, I want to talk to you just a little bit about church rescue. I want to challenge you. We're going to have a time of prayer right at the end, but I want to challenge you to think about, are you in the wall on anything in your life? Forgiveness, bitterness, anger. I'm not near as far as I thought I would be in life. I'm not near as advanced. I'm stuck in dreams that I keep dreaming about but doing nothing about. I'm stuck in debt. I'm stuck, just fill in the blank. And then just decide, man, today, I'm going to surrender. And I'm going to get to the other side of the wall. And I'm not coming back to this porch again. That's what Jesus was telling that guy. Don't come back to this porch again. You're done. You're done. Stop living in the wall. Now, let me turn the corner. We'll minister at the end, but let me turn the corner. Again, I want to thank you in advance for being a part of this month through Kingdom Builders, helping us rescue churches. It takes all of us sacrificially to do it because it's happening on our watch. But I want to show you just real quick, just take a few minutes and we'll wrap it up. Put it on the screen for me is this. Here's the life for the church before the wall. Remember life before the wall? Remember happy 49ers were winning, that one? Okay, the church, watch this. In the 50s and 60s, the church in America was outpacing America's population. What it means is more people were being saved than babies were being born. That was incredible. 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, it was unreal. But something happened. When 2000 hit, for the last 20 years, it's just happened. Look, show the graph for me real quick. Look at this graph. The blue line represents how many people go to church on a regular basis over the last 20 years in America. The yellow line represents how many people no longer go to church in America. You see the difference? That's happening on our watch. Didn't happen on our great-grandparents' watch. That's happening on our watch. That's why we decided as pastors, we got to do something about it, man. That's why Pastor Hector and many other pastors across America are like, we love our churches, but hey, the whole church is the king, is the bride. The whole church. That's problem one. That's a major problem. Let me show you problem two real quick. Problem two. Lifeway Research, one of the biggest research firms in the nation, said this: between 6,000 to 10,000 churches in the U.S. are dying each year. That means around 100 to 200 churches will close their doors this week. You ever thought about that? I want you to think a moment. 100 to 200 churches somewhere in America had their final services. Wow. It's amazing. It's problem number three. One of them is from the New York Times. New York Times, 46% of pastors under the age 45 are considering quitting the ministry. Currently, 1,500 pastors a month are quitting ministry. It's discouraging. And then 76% of pastors admit to feeling inadequate for the job and need help. That's where we came along. And we just said, you know what, man? We got to help pastors. So we started coaching them for free, giving them resources for free. We're sending them on 4-day soul care retreats to the Rocky Mountains. Pastors of churches of 15, 20, 30. And we are seeing it over and over and over again, Pastor Aaron. Last year, we rescued over 500. Just this last week, we had 136 new churches that were about closing their doors raise their hand and say, help us. 136 more churches coming in just this last week. It's happening. It's a movement that is happening, and it's incredible what God is doing, and we're seeing it happen. We're looking at churches that were 15, 20, and 30. They're getting back to 75, 100, 150. There's one church that had about 40 people left in their church. They're now around 250. One church had 20 people left when they first joined into the rescue movement. Now, last week, I talked to the guy, he had 405. Okay, we can all complain about America, and I'm sure we're all good about that. Right? The problem with America, like those ladies on the bus. But here's the thing. I guess we can complain or we can go to social media, but that's not going to solve anything. You know what I think will solve it? Keep the lighthouses open. And we got to fight for that. Now, we're going to show you a video of a church that we rescued in Arizona. And then I'm going to come back and have an opportunity to pray with you. And the band's going to worship. It's going to be great. But I want to give you a free book in advance, believing that you're just going to help us throughout this month. It's a book with 11 stories written from pastors across America that have been rescued. It's like a chicken soup for the soul. It'll move your heart, really. So grab your phone. That's the thing that you've been acting like you're taking notes on, but you're texting. That one. Take pictures of the QR code right now. Everybody grab your phone real quick. We're going to leave it up there for about 30 seconds. You're going to give your name, you'll give your email, and then it'll download the free book to you, Reviving the Church in America. 11 stories of churches that have been rescued. I just want to give it to you and just say, I think it's like 15, 20 bucks. We don't know. I just want to give it to you. And thank you in advance for coming to the rescue for churches that are dying. All this month through Kingdom Builders. I just want to thank you for that. That means so much. So quickly take that because we're going to go to the video. And I want to show you a video of a church that coming out of COVID had about 25 people left. You'll see the pastor on there crying. But last week, I think they just topped up over 200 people. That church was about to close its doors. And you're going to see a video of a church that reopened its doors and now is thriving. Because we believe rescue churches rescue people, but also rescue churches will rescue America. And we want to come to the rescue. So make sure you get that free book, but check out this video. And then we'll come up afterwards to spend some time in prayer. Check out this video.
Hello, my name is Tyrone, and this is Amy. We are pastors at Rivers Church in North Phoenix. We've been here for several years, and we're seeing God do some good things here. And then the pandemic hit. We found ourselves in a place when we reopened. A lot of people didn't come back like most churches. In the fall of 2020, it just feels very dark. And it just feels, like a very, very dark, dry, lonely season where we lost just a lot of people, a lot of friends, a lot of leaders. You know, by the spring of 2021, we've lost all of our board has left. And I've never questioned my calling. I've never questioned the church and what we're doing, and I found myself in that place. It's still emotional to think about just how challenging that season was, but how beneficial it is to have somebody who cares to just come and coach and encourage and breathe life into you. You're going to make it. You can do this. Crazy to think we could have been one of the statistics.
And to have Church Boom come alongside of us, believe in us, and help us to be faithful to our calling to this community.
Well, we were really struggling. We had more than one foot in the world, and I remember we looked at each other and I was like, we've got to do something, because we loved each other. We knew that we wanted to be together, we just didn't know how to do it. Life was very bleak. I was almost to the point where I just didn't want to be here anymore.
And I think we were really wrestling with, is what we're doing, does it matter? Does it impact our community?
My experiences with church started when I was younger and I was going to church and I didn't understand what church was. As I was growing up though, my stepdad, who is a very religiously toxic person, would often use religion against me. So I took major steps back from church and Jesus.
It was kind of funny because Doug said, well, all right, I'll go to church with you, but it's got to be somewhere close. So I Googled it, and Rivers Church, at the time it was Bell Road Church, popped up, and we came the next Sunday. It felt good. It felt good. It was felt kind of like coming home. You know, Jesus, he didn't go anywhere. We just kept leading.
During the pandemic, we really had a lot of time to mend those things of our past and to establish a relationship with God again. And through that, Rivers Church was there for us.
I started going here more often, and the thing I really like about this church is that I get treated as a family member, and then I was just really hit with Jesus through the people here who present their sermons, unknowingly relating to me, and just really made me see that Jesus is someone who loves and accepts you no matter where you come from or what walk of life you had before.
And I think the local church is much needed to continue to further the gospel in our nation and in our world.
You know, I love the thought of just more and more churches being saved. Now as a result, to see people coming back and lives being changed and to see God on the move. You look back and you think, man, if I had quit, I would have missed out on some of this.